I think first, we should encourage people to get married. And second, we should encourage couples to have children. The first step is to get the right partner and get married. I'm not an expert in this, so I consulted the experts, those with experience, and I talked to some of the matchmakers. We have SDU, we have SDS, we have quite a number of private dating agencies now which have come along. So I talked to several of them. And we had a very lively lunch exchange. I learned a lot from them. And it's fabulous material for a TV studio discussion, which one day they will do. They told me so many interesting stories, which put it graphically in real people's lives, the practical problems and how it works and what difficulties are. So let me just summarize the main learning points, because tonight is a lecture, not an entertainment. First of all, and encouraging, many singles want to get married. They are not happy to be single. They want to get married. They are serious. They are not just out to have a good time. But they face difficulties. What are these difficulties? Some have never dated. They didn't date in school. They started work. Once they settle into a routine, they are older. No chance. No social circle at all. No opportunities to meet new people. So one matchmaker told me one conversation he had. He talked to this lady. What do you do after work? First of all, what do you do? She says, I work. After work, what do you do? I go to the gym. Weekends, I stay at home with my parents. You go out? Yes, I bring out my nephews and nieces. So he says, oh dear, everybody will think that these are her children and will not chat her up. So, have you met any new friends last week? Dead silence. How about last month? Again, dead silence. So, they have a problem. How do you break out of this? Some people date, but they start too late. And the dating agencies tell me that the women in their 30s have a big problem. They join up, they sign up. And there are men in their 30s too who sign up. But the men in their 30s want to look for women in their 20s. Why? They make a very practical calculation. You see, I'm 30-something. Supposing I marry a woman who's 30-something, takes me a year to get to know her. We get married. We want to enjoy ourselves for a couple of years before we think about having babies. Then we think about having babies. You add it up. I'll be 40-something. My wife will be 40-something. How? So therefore, the 30-something-year-old looks for the 20-something-year-old girl, and the 30-something-year-old girl has a big problem. And I feel for her because I had a dialogue with some women. The Women's Wing organized it for me. And one such lady stood up. She had great courage, and she stood up and she spoke and she explained her problem that she regretted. She started off putting her career first. She worked, she built up her career. After she got her career sorted out in her 30s, she started thinking about looking for a partner. She signed up dating agencies, tried, no joy. And she was sharing her experience with us and with the room. She still hopes to find someone, but it will be quite hard. So that's a real problem. The good news is that more people are prepared to seek help from the dating agencies. And the women are more willing to look for help than the men. The men are macho, sensitive about their ego, they don't want to be seen going for help. The women are more prepared to go, so most dating agencies have more women than men, 60-40. That's an encouragement to the men to sign up. But unfortunately, sometimes their social graces are not up to scratch. So the dating agency told me another story. They arranged for a guy to meet a date, and the setting was a romantic dinner in a nice restaurant. And the guy turned up in slippers. So he counseled the guy. The guy says, that is me. I work in slippers. I walk in slippers. I come in slippers. So they talked to him, finally persuaded him to buy a pair of shoes, keep the shoes in his car. So before getting down at the date, he puts on his shoes, he goes for the date. And it worked. So it went a little further. Next thing he knew, the man gave him a call. Says, "What's happening?" He says, "I'm outside my girlfriend's house." So he said, "Are you stalking her? Why are you there?" He said, No. She has invited me to meet her parents." That's good. So he asked him, "Did you bring a present?" So he said, "No." So he was directed, ran around, bought a present, came back, knocked on the door, went in. Eventually it worked, got married. And then the lady said to him, "Quite interesting, very unlike you to bring a present." So I thought to myself, wow, I was lucky. When I was invited to meet my girlfriend's parents, I didn't bring a present either. But fortunately, we got married. But you also need to have realistic expectations. You have to make an effort for the relationship to work. You mustn't be carried away by what you see, romantic images on the movies. Boy meets girl, boy falls in love with girl, instantly, madly married, lives happily ever after, maybe have twin babies. But we are real people, ordinary people in real life. You may not have instant sparks the first time, but you take your time, discover the person for who she or she is, nurture the relationship, and then maybe love may blossom. That's how many Indian couples do it. They are match made, they don't know each other very well before they marry, but they develop the relationship. And it works. So when I told this story to the women's group, there were 2 Indian women sitting in the front row, nodding vigorously. And I talked to them afterwards. They turned out to be immigrants. Both had lived here quite some time. Both had been match-made to their husbands. Both happily married. And they said, yes, this is the way. This is one good way to do it. So I think that we have to take a practical approach to this. We'll do more to help singles get married to the extent that we can. We have the SDU, we have the SDS, Social Development Unit, and the Social Development Section in the PA. They are working on this. They are doing a very good job. Now they are catering to different markets, graduates, non-graduates, SDU graduates, SDS non-graduates. I think we shouldn't be so rigid. I think we should merge the two, have one, more critical mass, more activities, and hopefully more pairings up, and more weddings, and more children. A lot of people want the SDU, SDS because government. So they know it's real, they know it's serious, they know that this is not some escort agency. It's respectable. But there are also young people who don't want the government to know that they are dating and would like to use private agencies but want quality assurance because just in case a private agency is not respectable, they don't want to be trapped. So we're going to try to give them the best of both worlds. SDU will go into a new business to certify private agencies that meet quality standards. We have Case Trust, we will have SDU Trust. Put a logo down there. But young people themselves should take the first step. Don't leave it till too late. Make time, go out, meet new friends, join a dating agency. Doesn't matter whether it's SDU or whether it's a private one. You may find someone you are attracted to. Then you can marry the person you love, and then you can love the person you marry. Once couples are married, we'd like them to have children. We used to think this would follow naturally, but it's no longer always the case because couples are having fewer children, having them later. some preferring not to have any children at all. Why? We looked at other countries. We see it happening all over East Asia, I told you just now, earlier. Confucian societies with similar cultural values, undergoing very rapid transformation, social and economic change. So there are powerful social and cultural forces at work which are pushing us in the wrong direction. But it's not just happening in the East Asian societies, it's happening in Western societies too. In Australia, the government is working hard to encourage couples to have more kids. They've had a baby bonus, they've had tax incentives, they're introducing them now. They have quite a good slogan. One for dad, one for mum, one for Australia. Europe has this problem. Many countries facing a dearth of babies. But there's something interesting in their experience. If you look at southern Europe, Portugal, Italy, Greece, Spain, the countries where the more macho culture, the women are less liberated, they are more likely to stay at home, less chance to work, fewer babies. But in Northern Europe, Netherlands, Scandinavia, where the gender roles are more equal, the women are more likely to work, and yet more babies. Well, it's very interesting. Gender roles and this working is something which modern women put a lot of emphasis on. So what's happening in Singapore? I discussed this when I met the women, married, single, young, not so young, and they agreed that gender roles and helping mothers to work are important, and they gave me many ideas on what we could do to facilitate this. So let me share some with you.